What's going on, everyone? So this trade is circulating around the internet, and I've seen quite a bit of people talk about it. James Harden essentially going to Lakers for the package that we acquired for Russell Westbrook. Now, I don't think that this is going to happen. I don't see this necessarily happening. I think that this is just like, hey, here's a possibility. You see on Bleacher Report and stuff like that all the time. We've even explored some possibilities here on this channel. So I don't mind. It's all in good fun. It's all just exploratory. It's not like there's a ton of news spreading all over the internet that's worth, diving into heavily. So why not explore this? Because I do think that this does kind of make sense for both teams. And let's get into the meat and potatoes. So trade details: Philadelphia 76ers received D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, and then the 2023 number 17 pick. Los Angeles Lakers received James Harden. So basically, again, the deal that you sent out Russell Westbrook for, you basically would get now James Harden. So you'd flip those same pieces for James Harden, which you'd also be able to keep the 2029 pick, which I wouldn't mind. Now, I am not big on James Harden. He's a guy that, of course, has his question marks, has his issues. He's a guy that disappears at times in the playoffs. He's a guy that, yes, he can completely take over games and win you a game by himself, essentially. But he's also a guy that can lose you a game by himself. But here's the thing. James Harden has also been either the number one or number two guy on pretty much every team other than the early Oklahoma City days, right? With Houston, with the Brooklyn Nets, he was the primary ball handler, and he did do playmaking a lot, but he was arguably the second best player. And then you had with the Philadelphia 76ers, where him and Joel Embiid were the 1A, 1B, right? But James Harden also had a great year last year for Philadelphia. If you can have that year and that production with the Lakers, that would be massive. But he would also be the third option, essentially, for the Lakers. So you don't have, James Harden wouldn't have the pressure to deliver on a nightly basis. Even if he doesn't have it offensively, like he has on some nights, then you'd still have his playmaking ability and you have his draw from the defense, because the defense isn't just going to leave him wide open. His ability to play on the ball, off the ball, he was great as a playmaker for the Sixers as well as for the Brooklyn Nets. There are a lot of positives. There definitely are. This is, you'd essentially be able to keep all of your depth, all of your talent. You could just have him opt in and then work out that trade and make that deal. And you'd still have, Rui Hachimura, you'd still have Austin Reeves, and then you could sign whatever other pieces and stuff. Maybe you still go after Chris Paul. That could be an option. Like, there's definitely possibilities that you could explore here with this James Harden level deal. Now, obviously, the issues would be lack of defense, and again, him just disappearing. But I do think that with him being essentially the third option, he would have a lot more success in the playoffs because we wouldn't need him to go get 30 a night. Right? Obviously, if he's having one of those games where he just can't miss and he's going off and he's cooking, you let him cook, right? But if he doesn't have to on a nightly basis, he can kind of just take a step back and be the primary playmaker, setting Anthony Davis up. I also think he would do a good job of getting Anthony Davis the ball in his spots. Also, his ability to attack and draw the defense and kick out. He could play in that two-man game with LeBron James. LeBron James wants somebody that he can trust and handle the ball. The other concerns is that James Harden is 33 years old. And post LeBron James, I don't know how James Harden and Anthony Davis would work, right? Obviously, if you win an NBA championship, who cares, right? You figure it out after. But the problem is if you do this and you don't, I don't think James Harden and Anthony Davis are enough for you to be a contender. Because James Harden, for one, is a guy that he, again, disappears in the playoffs and just doesn't seem to be the guy. Anthony Davis does the same thing, right? That's the problem with Philly, is that James Harden disappears, but so does Joel Embiid in the playoffs. And so if Anthony Davis is disappearing and James Harden's disappearing, now you're putting so much pressure on like Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, guys like that, and you need your two stars. So that, I think, is a big concern as well for the Lakers post LeBron. But you could bring in James Harden and kind of run it for the year. If you win the championship, great. You bring everybody back and you do it again, because James Harden is at that point where he's just basically signing 1+1 year deals anyway. And LeBron could opt into his contract. You could sign James Harden to a new contract, give Anthony Davis his extension, and then try to go back-to-back for the championships. If it doesn't work, LeBron's probably leaving anyway. And then at that point, you could just let James Harden walk or work out a sign and trade. And if you don't work out a sign and trade, you just let him walk, then you basically have enough money for almost 2 max contracts, depending on what you're signing Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves for. You probably have at least close to 60 to 80 million in cap space, because you'd lose LeBron James money and you lose James Harden's money. So you basically would just have Anthony Davis, Max Christie, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves, right? There you go. You basically have a clean slate. So I don't hate the idea. I don't. And then from the other side, as far as like Philadelphia, if you're Philadelphia and James Harden's leaving anyway, you could do worse than D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, plus a first-round pick. You get another young guy that you can draft at number 17. You get a defensive guy that could help. D'Angelo Russell is a 17-8 guy in the regular season. So you get, at least in the regular season, you're going to get a lot of the same production that James Harden's given you in the regular season as you will with D'Angelo Russell. Again, you could do worse if you're Philadelphia, working out and orchestrating this type of trade. If James Harden just says, hey, I want to leave, I don't want to be here another year, you can either trade me to the Lakers or I'm going to go elsewhere. You know, that's again, it's something that Philly may actually explore. It might be something that Philadelphia goes, you know what, like D'Lo, Beasley gives us some three-point shooting if he can get hot. How much of the pressure was just the pressure of being in LA? If he can kind of find his stroke, then that gives us a high volume, a high usage three-point shooter to pair with D'Lo. You got, and look, even then, you have D'Lo who's young, you'd have Maxey who's young, Jared Vanderbilt who's young, you'd still have like PJ Tucker, you'd still have Tobias Harris, or you could look to try to flip Tobias Harris into something. Again, if you're going to lose James Harden, you might as well get a first round pick, get some young talent that you can add to your roster, add to your core. Joel Embiid, maybe he stays and tries it at that point. If he doesn't, then you were going to lose him regardless without James Harden. So at that point, then you're basically hitting the reset button, the rebuild button, which that package makes even more sense for at that point, because now you got at least a young core that you can kind of use to kind of build with, and, you know, whatever assets you get for Joel Embiid. I don't think it's that far-fetched as possible, or as it sounds. Well, one, does James Harden want to go to Lakers? And two, do the Lakers want James Harden? And three, how well would it work? I think it could. I mean, look, Beasley basically gave you nothing. Jared Vanderbilt would be tough to replace. But can Max Christie kind of fill that void? Max Christie's already supposedly 6'6", 6'7". So can he kind of fill that void? Or can you go and find somebody else in free agency, or, you know, maybe orchestrate a trade with your 2029 pick? Right? Can you maybe go get a 3-and-D style guy? It gives you that third score, especially during the regular season. You know, at least you're going to get James Harden that can give you 20 plus, 20, 10, and 10 on a nightly basis. He's going to rebound. He's going to knock down shots. He's going to play make. He's going to do all the things that you need him to do. Gives you that LeBron insurance, because, LeBron's going to miss X amount of games. I don't hate it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's unlikely. I don't even necessarily know if I want it to happen, but I wouldn't be mad, right? Like, if we got news that this happened tomorrow, like, I wouldn't be upset. James Harden opts in, to his 35 million, and then there you go. You just basically make the trade, you make the move, and then you're good. You're good to go, right? I mean, you don't even have to technically give up that much because you only have to match 35 million. So depending on how much you're paying D'Lo, but let's say you're paying D'Lo, I would like to keep Vanderbilt. Like, could you keep Vanderbilt? Right? Like, could you just do D'Lo, Beasley, and the 17th pick and keep Jared Vanderbilt? If you could do that, I would do this trade immediately because you don't have anything to lose, right? If it works, great. Then you're probably winning an NBA championship. If it doesn't work, then not a big deal, right? If it doesn't work, then just let him go. And now you have basically enough money to go get basically anything you want, anything you need. I think it would be a win-win for the Lakers. And then again, if you're Philly, better to get something than nothing. At least you get the number 17th pick. You get a young guy in D'Angelo Russell, and you get a guy in Malik Beasley. Like, that would be kind of cool. But I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Again, I don't think this is, just chalk it up as just a fun conversation. If it happens, cool. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. Again, love to hear it. Let me know.